Welcome to State of Tech. My name's Jared, and today I'm talking about the top 5 reasons to choose an iPhone 7 or 7 Plus over Samsung's Galaxy S8 or S8 Plus. Now, obviously the S8 is the newest phone on the market as the time that I'm recording this right now. It's an exciting phone. It's got lots of power and specs and all that great stuff, but is all of that hoopla and those numbers a reason to buy it? A reason to buy it over buying an iPhone 7 or 7 Plus. Now, I've been a long time Android and iPhone user. I've been using both platforms since day one of the launch of both of them, and I enjoy both of them. But there's something that always tends to take me back to Apple, and that's going to be the top one reason, and we've got more, but the first reason is Apple's ecosystem. Now, if you like having a system that comes together, makes it easier for you to exchange files between your devices and text message and respond to calls and stuff like that. Syncing is important to you. The iPhone with the iPad and a Mac computer, there's just no better combination of devices. Now, if you're not a Mac user, you're not an iPad user, that whole first option there, that first reason kind of falls apart. But with the iPhone and the iPad and the Mac, those are all just a really great ecosystem that's been designed to work well together. And Samsung and all the other manufacturers just cannot create that because they don't have that whole ecosystem, that product ecosystem there. They don't have the control. You know, if you go to the other side of the fence and say, okay, a Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus with a Windows computer and maybe a Samsung tablet, even the two Samsung devices, the tablet and the phone itself, don't communicate together that well like an iPhone and an iPad do. And if you go get a Samsung laptop, those three devices do not communicate and work as well together as an iPhone does with an iPad and a Mac computer. So with that to say, that's my main reason, but that is the first of multiple reasons. So the second is the battery life. Now, the Samsung has gotten really good at having a long battery life. They've built into their software the ability for apps to be shut down and stuff like that because Android natively kind of allows apps to just run and do their thing in the background. Some apps are really good at managing their own, usage of battery life, and some aren't. But with the iPhone, the iOS system is built in a way to only allow them to do what they need to do in the background. Apps do not continuously run. Apps do not use up a ton of power. And you get notified if apps are doing things in the background more often, like using additional location and stuff like that. And you can toggle all of that stuff on and off really easily. Now you can do that in Android as well, newer versions of Android, and definitely in this S8 Plus. But the iPhone does a better job of doing that out of the box without having to tune down the phone in certain ways. There are lots of ways that this phone comes out of the box kind of tuned down, and if you turn on these features, to get better performance out of your display and stuff like that, you're going to end up sucking the battery life down. They've actually kind of choked the phone down to get better battery life. The iPhone, you don't have to do that. It comes out of the box optimized, and you're going to get probably 2-day battery life just about out of a big iPhone like this without doing too much to change things. That's been my experiences anyways, and the experience of a lot of other people. So battery life definitely with the iPhone has always just been better because the Android phones, whether it be a Samsung or many of the others, just have a hard time optimizing to that extent without having to turn off a lot of features that you want to be able to use in your phone. So that would be my second reason. The third reason is the accessories and adaptability of an iPhone. Now, if you like to accessorize or you want accessories or devices to work with your specific phone, the iPhone definitely has more of that than any other phone. Now, I would say that Samsung comes in a close second because the Galaxy series, the S series of these phones, are probably the most popular or most sold phones in the world. However, The iPhone, people just build stuff for the iPhone. There's a ton more case options available. There's a lot more accessories. There's more skins. There's just more available for an iPhone than there is a Samsung device. And that's just the nature of the iPhone and its cool factor that they're still hanging on to, that they still have. Companies build stuff for the iPhone. They build stuff first. So that takes us right into the next reason, which would be the apps. If you want apps that come out first, then you typically need to go on iOS. Now that is narrowing. A lot of apps these days are coming out for both platforms early on, which is great, both at the same time, but not all the time. Think about Mario Run that just came out. People were going crazy over wanting that app. You got to sign up early for early access, but you got Mario Run months earlier on iOS than you did on Android, which just recently came out a couple of weeks ago. You've had Mario Run for quite some time. For somebody like me who flies drones and uses DJI drones, DJI obviously pays more attention to optimizing their platform for an iPhone or an iPad than they do for Android. Of course, they have a list of Android devices that are supported, but I often have crashing issues and lag issues and stuff like that with Android, and I don't have that with the iPhone. They have optimized, and companies like that build and optimize more stuff for the iPhone than they do. And the app updates come sooner and faster typically for iOS as well. So apps for things like smart locks, like the Kivo smart lock that I use on my home, always an app update right away when a new phone or a version of the iOS comes out. But on an Android phone, I typically can't use the new Android phone to unlock my house for several months, maybe even 6 months. When Android N came out, which is Android 7.0, it took until a month ago, which is almost a full year. I'd say a couple months short of a full year for Kivo to support it. Whereas this iPhone 7 with iOS 10 came out, and within days they had support for iOS 10 and everything worked. They even released early a kind of working version of their update for iOS 10. They were that on top of it, but it takes forever for them to support. And it's not just them, it's multiple other companies. I sync photos using Sony Play Memories for my Sony cameras, sync photos, and a lot of times there is not support for certain Android devices, but iPhone always support right away. So a lot of times with apps, you're going to end up getting earlier support, and even the apps earlier when they're new apps. If you're on the iOS platform, it's just the way that it is. And the last would be the dual cameras. Since we have the 7 Plus here and we have the 8 Plus here for Galaxy, the dual cameras are nice because what it allows you to do is punch in a little bit and get closer to the action without really losing much for quality. Now, a lot of people will say that there's no quality difference between these two cameras. I've experienced a slight decrease in quality when you punch in, but if you are to try and zoom in to the equivalent length using the single camera on the back of the S8, the quality degradation is much more. If you go in 2x, you're going to lose quality because what's happening is it's digitally zooming in. And the only way for a camera to digitally zoom in is for it to multiply pixels and make pixels from the neighboring pixel. And when that happens, you lose quality. What you have here is the ability to take a nice wide shot or punch in and get a little bit closer to the action with not a telephoto lens, but more of a standard focal length lens. So you have a wide angle lens and a standard focal length lens on one phone, and that makes it really nice because you're able to get into closer to the action without, having to stand inches or feet away from whatever it is that you want to take pictures of. So having that option is great, and it's really easy to switch between those two. Even when you're filming, switching between the two, it's just a really nice experience with those dual cameras. We can argue about the quality of the dual cameras, but they are really good iPhone's always been known for having great cameras. Samsung with this S8 and S8 Plus didn't put a new camera in it from the S7, but they did upgrade the software that runs it and all that stuff. Still a fantastic camera, still takes great photos. But if you're thinking about true to life, good quality images, the iPhone 7 exceeds there. But I think having the dual cameras is definitely a plus these days until these phones have a physical lens inside of them that can zoom in and out. But how are you going to do that when these phones are so tiny? The technology just isn't there yet. So we're going to have to rely on dual cameras in the back of our phones. And that's the fifth and final reason why I think an iPhone 7 Plus is a better buy in 2017 than the Galaxy S8 Plus. So that's going to do it for this video. If you're watching this one first, you can go check out my top 5 reasons why you would choose the S8 Plus over the 7 Plus iPhone. I think it's good to have the information on both sides, whether you're thinking about switching platforms or just trying to decide whether to buy a new phone. It's good to know some of the reasons, albeit they're my reasons. It's good to have opinions. So thanks so much for checking out this video. If you have any thoughts or questions, post them in the comments below. Give us a subscribe and a thumbs up on this channel if you want updates from us and just to let us know that you appreciated this video. Thanks so much, and we'll see you back here soon.